Guys, we're working with our friends at DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports, to put you at the center of the action with a free shot at the $1 million top prize. DraftKings UFC 251 Daily Fantasy Contest starts today, and it's got over $2 million in prizes up for grabs. Here's how you play. Draft 6 fighters from Saturday night. Stay under the $50,000 salary cap and rack up fantasy sports points for advances, takedowns, knockdowns, and more. Full rules and scoring can be found at DraftKings.com/MMA. I'm on the record picking Usman, Thug Rose, and Max Holloway, if that helps. If you're a new user, go to dkng.co/Sonnen. Use the promo code Sonnen. With your $5 minimum deposit, you're going to get a free shot at the $1 million top prize. Dana came out and he was talking. He said that he believes Conor McGregor will fight again next year. End of statement. So then you're left, of course, to wonder, okay, who will he fight? But there's really no way to begin to make that prediction. I mean, let's just back the story up on this, guys. I don't know of a time that Dana has bluffed. I really don't know a time that he's ever gone to the media and said anything other than what was accurate in that moment. And the sport changes fast, and maybe next week that idea changed. But I can't remember a time that he's ever tried to pull a ruse, if you will. But I find myself constantly thinking, okay, he's bluffing. Even though I guess we got to just take him straight at his word. But on this Conor thing, he has always said from the beginning, I want Conor to fight for the championship next. The end. And it was just so tough when you look at the timeline to accept that. Because he had said this at the post-fight press conference on January 20th after Conor had just defeated Cowboy. And the relevance to that fight, to Conor versus Cowboy on January 20th, is so significant to where my mindset is in trying to guess what's actually going to happen. That date did not exist. January 20th was not scheduled for an event. They made the entire event when Conor calls up and says, I want to fight. They do it at a weight class that they wouldn't have normally done of 170. Boom, you find Cowboy, you put the rest of the card together. I was there live. I couldn't even tell you who the co-main event was, and I don't mean that to sound condescending. I watch a lot of fights, but in all fairness, it was a one-fight card. I was there live just to personalize it. You would not believe Conor Mania is real. Trust me, I felt it. $10 million gate. I used to have the live gate record, and it was 7.4 million. Just to put that in perspective. So Conor comes in on a show with no supporting act that didn't even exist 3 weeks after they had just played the same venue, and comes in with the 4th largest gate of all time, which eclipsed a former record, and I would know it because I held it, and the other 3 spots are all held by Conor as well. He's got 1, 2, 3, and now he's got number 4. I only bring that to you because if you're willing to go through those steps to make Conor Mania happen, and then we're supposed to believe all the brakes are put on Conor until Khabib becomes available. And at the time of this statement, don't forget, Khabib was scheduled to fight Tony on April 18th at what would have been UFC 249, okay? Khabib had also disclosed to us that after that fight with Tony, don't expect to see me again until September because I go into Ramadan. So now we know Khabib's not even going to come back, if he even gets by Tony, until September, which means we're not going to see Conor until September. That's very hard to accept when we just made a show for Conor, of which, by the way, hit it out of the park. So you can see where if you put your detective hat on, you're going to lean towards, well, something's going to happen. Conor's going to be back. When that doesn't happen, then what happens? Khabib versus Tony falls through. Tony and Gaethje takes place. Now Khabib is getting ready to go against Gaethje, but that's going to be in September, just as Khabib had told us ahead of time. So then if he even comes out of that with the championship, and that's what we're holding Conor for, this great card to play, could have had Conor 3 more times by then. And if we're just talking about what's going to draw on what pencils, I don't know, Conor 3 times seems to me is probably going to be the same as Conor against his most desirable opponent, which is Khabib on a one time. You have to sit down and get a calculator. I get the whole thing. Top of my head, though, it would seem as though let's have a little bit more Conor. Well, somewhere along the way, Conor gets frustrated and he goes into a retirement, which doesn't appear to be real, but I mean, he's showing his frustration. And now we're hearing that he won't be back until next year. Well, again, that does line up exactly with what Dana said on January 20th. It does appear that his next fight's going to be with Khabib. I'm understanding just train of thought and the way this is lining up. Conor next year, Khabib in September, Khabib with big breaks between fight. Yeah, that takes Khabib till next year. Of course, Khabib still got to do business with Gaethje, and if Gaethje gets over on Khabib, then maybe people are going to want to demand to see Gaethje versus Khabib part 2, or they're going to want to see Conor versus Gaethje. Who knows where it all goes? What I'm trying to share with you is, if I was to guess today based on the very limited information we have, and when I give you Dana's quote, I am giving you it verbatim. He said, I expect Conor to fight next year. Done. Lay out. We had no other clues. And we still don't. So if we are to speculate at best, which appears to be what we always do with Conor, there's always something to guess about. We always have limited information. Because Conor's open to like 10 different ideas at once. Conor never just has a laser vision. He's open to a bunch of different ideas in 2 different sports at 17 different weight classes. Conor's got a lot of ideas. Okay. It does look as though Conor next year, Conor for the championship. If I'm to hedge a bet or hedge a guess right now, I can't even say Khabib. Conor next year, Conor for a championship, 155. There's Chael's pick.